5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We're in the pipe. 5 by 5.
This is the 5 on Film podcast.
Hello and welcome to 5 on Film, the podcast where we try and break down the top 5 in the world of film. I am your host, TK442, aka Ollie Moore, and joining me this week we have Chris 3PO.
Oh, R2, you are silly.
And another regular, John Backer. And returning guest, R2 Tim 2.
Good evening, Nerdforders.
And joining us for the first time, we have Toby 1 Kenobi.
Use the Force, Luke.
Cool. So before we get started and tell you what today's topic is, John, what are the rules of the game?
Right. Okay. Well, we're here, and what we're going to do, we're going to have 3 rounds. We're going to have nomination, elimination, and ranking. First, we're each going to nominate a film that we believe deserves to be in the top 5 and why it should be there. If 2 or more panelists agree, it makes our initial list, and we carry on until we hopefully have 7 films. Once we have our 7, we eliminate. Here, we decide on 2 films to actually remove, leaving us with the top 5. And then finally, we rank them, where we will decide what the definitive top 5 list will be. Anybody who's watching us on YouTube, you can listen to us on your pod scraper of choice, being Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any others. If you are listening to us through your pod scraper, you can find us on YouTube, and we are on all the social film podcasts at gmail.com. Over to you, Ollie.
Brilliant, thank you, John. Right, let's move along. So if you haven't guessed already, guys, we're going to do Star Wars today. So we've got 12 films to choose from. We've gone for the 12 theatrical released Star Wars movies. So just before we get started, I just want to kind of go around and see what Star Wars means to you guys. It's my favorite series of movies ever. I absolutely loved them kind of growing up as a kid, and I've loved them ever since. And now I'm getting to enjoy them with my kids as well. So Tony, what does Star Wars mean to you?
What does Star Wars mean to me? Well, my first memory of Star Wars was watching it on ITV with my auntie when I was 4 or 5 years old. It was around Christmas time, and eating a Terry's chocolate orange with her. I guess it just reminds me of my childhood, and I guess most young men around our age, when they've first seen it, the scene with Luke looking over the twin sons of Tatooine,
I thought you were going to just mention a Princess Leia Goldberg Bikini thing then, but no, go on.
Well, yes, I did enjoy that as well. But Princess Leia was the first girl I ever fell in love with. So, as 5-year-old, I wanted her to be my girlfriend. So, but no, the looking to the horizon, to the sunset. That's the
Not
future.
knowing what the future holds, and that hope and that.
Yeah.
Cool. Tim, what about you?
I'm of an age where I think I'm definitely original trilogy. So yeah, I think like most of us, I was aware of Star Wars long before I ever saw the movie, because I grew up in a time with no cinema. But because George Lucas is a merchandising genius, Star Wars toys were everywhere, Star Wars t-shirts were everywhere. So I knew who all these characters were, and then it was finally it's going to come on ITV at Christmas. I think there was like a 6-month build-up, so I'll finally get to see Star Wars. And yeah, Star Wars is just, I think, because everyone my age and everyone I know has watched it about 1,000 times. It's like the common mythology of our generation. We all know everything. We all reference all these things. We all, it's trying to think of a comparison for today's generation, but they don't have one because they're not lucky like us. I love Star Wars. I have to.
Can I interject there? My girlfriend, who's 10 years or 14 years younger than me, Harry Potter for her generation. Loves it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
fear product.
Nice little
Actually, yeah,
drop
my
in
wife's
there of your girlfriend's age there, Tony. Well done.
Congratulations,
lucky
Tony.
man.
Little humble brag.
The force is strong with this one.
Be my girlfriend.
Or is
Yeah,
it a death stick?
So yes, I love Star Wars. Long forever saw it, and when I saw it, I was blown away because I think, like a lot of us, I grew up in a small town with not much going on, and the character of Luke is growing up in this moisture farm on the Tatooine, and there's like stormtroopers on the streets, and he dreams of going off and joining the rebellion, and yeah, like what little boy doesn't.
Chris, what about you?
I'm of an age where I was born before Return of the Jedi, but far too young to see it in the cinema. So my experience is much like Tim and Tony's, where I first saw it on ITV and bank holidays and Christmas. And I think I believe they released one film every year over 3 Christmases, and then they just kind of churned them out after that. So I have very fond memories of visiting family and friends' houses over Christmas, and the film was just on whilst I was playing and with my cousins or my friends. But I had a lot of the toys and the figures. So that's kind of my strongest connection when I was really young. And then obviously when the special editions came out in the mid to late 90s, they re-released the films in the cinema, and I was able to go see them then. And it just rekindled my love of Star Wars. And I hadn't really thought about it, but maybe I'm in the same boat as you, Ollie. And it's probably the thing I cherish the most as a series in film.
And John, what do you think?
Right. Well, I appreciate it, and yes, this is the film that these are the films that I grew up, the mythology I grew up with. Probably helped to get me into the whole sci-fi genre. I am as old as Star Wars. I am a 77 baby. So it was, so again, the first time I would have seen it would have been on ITV, our first video recorder, our top loader. I think I wore the tape out over the first on the first attack of the Carillion cruiser, or the Carillion corvette, and usually I got to the bit where where the droids got out the escape pods and then went, yeah, it's boring for the next 20 minutes, and turned it off. I was young. I was very
blasphemy.
Young. But the thing is, it made a real impression on me, and like I say, I wore the VHS tape out on that bit because it was so exciting. It's what I wanted to see. It's the bit I kept going back to, and it's such a heck of an opening. And I have to say, the recording quality was terrible, and I still kept watching it. As time's gone on, it's like an old friend, and it's something that keeps being revisited. Sometimes the old friends does something you don't like. Sometimes the old friend is you want to go out for a drink with them. Sometimes the old friend, you just want to go, not this time. I think you remember the good bits, and you just kind of go, yeah, maybe not on the bad bits, but yeah, I like it.
I'm the same as all you guys. I'd have first watched them of VHS recordings off ITV. My grandparents they recorded them all off the ITV for us. I was born in '83, so the year Return of the Jedi came out. So I didn't get to see them at the cinema until the special editions came out. But I had older cousins who had seen them at the cinema, and they had lots of the action figures, and I've got an older brother as well, and he had some of the action figures. So by the time my older cousins had grown up and no longer played with toys, I was 5 and had the largest collection of Star Wars spaceships and huge, like so many kind of Hoth Rebel troopers. It was untrue. So I usually, that's what I did. I had Hoth battles like all the time because I just had so many of them. So my Luke Skywalker in Hoth fatigues, he was my favorite character because he had the biggest army that he could kind of control. So yeah, I've loved it since I could kind of sit and watch the TV basically. So yeah, here we are, a film series that's kind of inspired a huge generations of filmmakers. It's inspired me to kind of want to work in the media. I'm sure it has some of you guys as well. Let's get into it. So Tony, as it's your first time at Fight Club, you have to fight. Which is the Star Wars film that you think absolutely has to make our top 5 best Star Wars movies ever?
Okay, I've prepared for this. So excuse me while I move my alcohol quota. Oh, the light came off. There we go. Star Wars.
So we're going to start at the beginning.
Yeah.
In the middle.
In the middle. It did light up until about 20 seconds ago when I knocked it. Anyway, there we go. Star Wars. Yeah, definitely. It's what started it all, isn't it? So I think it needs to be on there. It generated my love of cinema, film and television of all kinds. So,
which bits in particular do you think stand out for you? What makes this movie better than or your favourite in comparison to some other Star Wars movies?
Luke Skywalker's always been my favourite character, I guess, because I can relate. I feel I can relate to him the most. You know, the attack on the Death Star, the trench run. You know, it's iconic. And I guess it's where you're introduced to a plethora of iconic characters as well. Everyone knows who Han Solo is and Darth Vader. You know, arguably the greatest bad guy in cinema history, right?
And his entrance as well, like send shivers.
Yeah, lightsabers, blasters, walking carpets.
The cantina.
Yeah. Carrie
cool.
Fisher.
Tim, what do you think? Should Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, make it to the top 5 Star Wars films?
Nah, shit. Of course it does. Of course it has to. It's Star Wars. It is Star Wars. The rest are all sequels, prequels. Yeah, I mean, it's great. I think George Lucas just managed to tap into just what a 6-year-old boy wants to see at the movies. It's the hero. It's also talk about him studying the hero's journey and all that. Yes, you got the light working.
I did. Not sure you can see it.
It is that dream of adventure of like leaving your kind of safe, quiet, boring lifestyle and going off and joining the rebellion, storming the bad guy's castle, rescuing the beautiful girl, and getting a shiny medal at the end. And Darth Vader, he's not written very well. He's just a guy who walks in, but the design of that character, the casting of Dave Prowse, the voice of James Earl Jones, he walks in, he's the bad guy, and he's the worst bad guy in cinema history. And like lots of other movies tried to do something similar. Like I'm thinking of you, Krull, but no one else got it. No one got this.
They're just cheap imitations, aren't they?
Yeah, launching an innocent young boy into a fantasy world of adventure. And yeah, I love Krull, don't get me wrong. Big Krull fan, but yeah, Star Wars is the Mac Daddy all-time GOT.
Cool. Chris, A New Hope.
Yeah, it's a given, really. Where would we be without Star Wars and the thousands of poor imitations that followed? Some were good and some were pretty awful, but it changed cinema forever and changed us. I think it changed me anyway. Yeah, it's Absolutely. I couldn't say no.
Wonderful, John.
Yeah, this is the no-brainer because it is the beginning. I mean, it's. I'm not going to pretend it's perfect. No, it's not perfect. But in saying that, it pushes all the buttons in all the right places at all the right times. I mean, in fact, the escape from the TIE fighter attack on the escape of the Death Star is probably one of the most exciting moments, because at least when you get to the attack on the Death Star at the end with the X-wings and the Y-wings and the no, there weren't any A-wings in this one. You know they're going into battle, but the escape from the Death Star is actually, you don't know what's going to happen. You want them to escape. You actually don't know, and you've got Han and Luke shooting the quad cannons and missing, and much smaller fighters fight. Yeah,
Don't get cocky.
Yeah, exactly. And it really gets your emotions going. I mean, the walking through the desert, and bits like that. And there's I also find some of the Obi-Wan Kenobi bits need to be there, but they're a bit long. But that's because he's an old man and he doesn't move as fast as Ewan McGregor. But it introduced me to the idea of self-sacrifice for a greater cause, and it just has to be on.
May I add something? The trench scene with the X-wing fighters being chased by the TIE fighters is one of the most tense scenes in cinema. I feel like it's on par with Hitchcock. The tension, the cutting, and the editing that George Lucas did.
And this movie is not. This movie is not like one. Oh yeah, go ahead.
So sorry, Tim. Yeah, the first run on the down the trench, it doesn't work. It didn't happen. It's like, oh god, and they're losing X-wings left, right, and centre, aren't they?
Yeah.
You don't know that's not a given that they're going to.
Porkins.
I need to reach my pork pie.
Go on, Tim. Sorry.
Yeah, it's like, I have you now. He's like, Darth Vader's got him in his sight. It's going beep beep beep. He's lined up, and then Han flies out of the sun in the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, but even the bit where Luke suddenly decides to turn off the targeting computer, it's kind of he's hearing Ben in his ear for the first time, and then he just kind of turns off his targeting. He goes, what's he playing at? But he's kind of it's just the complete faith that he can do it. It's like he's like targeting wombat rats back home.
Beggars Canyon.
Beggars Canyon, yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, I totally agree, Tony. Yeah, A New Hope is definitely one of the best 5 Star Wars movies. For me, the bits that I love in this movie and in other Star Wars movies is the kind of when you get a huge collection of aliens, and there's so much to kind of see in the background. So it's the cantina scene for me, where we meet Han Solo and we meet Chewbacca for the first time, and just every inch of the screen is covered by like the most bizarre and weird looking aliens. I mean, a lot of them were just kind of off the peg masks that were kind of like tarted up a bit, but it doesn't matter, because the world that George Lucas created, that lived in kind of broken, battered world at the other end of the galaxy somewhere, just looked so and felt so real to me. I felt like it could exist somewhere like out there in our galaxy, or another galaxy somewhere, a galaxy far, far away. So I totally bought into that, and that's one of the reasons why I kind of loved it so much. Interestingly, George Lucas never felt that this movie was finished. He felt like he kind of ran out of time and just kind of had to abandon it. He didn't get to see it visualized how he originally kind of wanted it to. So, go on, John.
Well, just on that, George Lucas was under such stress that he ended. A lot of the shots weren't finished. I mean, the bit with the Tusken Raider after he's attacks Luke and he lifts his stick above his head and he's doing this. That was done in the edit because it basically the shot ended.
They rolled it backwards and forwards, didn't they?
Yeah, they ended up rolling the film in the edit suite because there was no end to that. There was no proper ending to that shot. So there was an awful lot of talented people who worked on that film to make it get to where it needed to be. So
George Lucas hired all the crew from 2001. George Lucas was only 26 when he made this movie. He shot it in London. It's mad, isn't it? So they kind of called him Kid. And yeah, like you say, it really stressed him out. And that's why he didn't direct The Empire Strikes Back. That's why he didn't direct Return of the Jedi. And he didn't direct anything again until The Phantom Menace, I believe.
By all accounts, everyone working on the film in Pinewood had no faith in it at all. Thought it was just some.
No, I thought it was mad, and particularly rude to him as the young American director. Who is this guy telling us what to do? He didn't particularly enjoy his experience of it. And actually, when he saw the first cut without music, he was really disheartened and really disappointed in it. It wasn't until he got John Williams' score on it that he actually thought, "Oh, maybe this might be all right."
Luckily for him, the only person who did have faith in it was Alec Guinness, who thought it was shite, but thought it would make money. So he negotiated with George Lucas, I think it was 2.5% of his royalties as fee.
Wow.
And his estate has earned $90 million, I think, from Star Wars.
That's mad, isn't it? It's absolutely mad.
But then he spent the rest of his career slagging it off and saying how he was like a silly fairy tale.
He used to get annoyed with kids coming up to him wanting autographs, didn't he, Alec Guinness?
Yeah, I think it was my mother that said, my son's seen Star Wars 60 times, and he's like, why do you want to waste his life like that?
Yeah.
There's the other story about the kid who went up to someone went up to Alec Guinness and said, "Can I have an autograph? I love the film." And he turns around and said, "I'll give you the autograph if you never watch it again."
Another thing I would like to say about Star Wars is I think it's the feeling of family and camaraderie between the cast as well. I think they all gel really well, and you almost feel part of their family when they're in their group together.
Did you notice the blooper when which made it into the film when Luke gets out of his X-wing? Yeah, he calls Carrie Fisher Carrie instead of Leia, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you, Tony. I like that you keep referring to it as Star Wars. Obviously, it's Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope, but when it came out, it was just Star Wars, wasn't it? It was Star Wars. That was all it.
You
all we were potentially going to get. Sorry, Tony, say again.
A New Hope. Excuse me, while I pour my whiskey. A New Hope was added in '79 before the release of The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah. Cool. So that's got a clean sweep. That's made it onto the list. Tim, so of the 12 theatrical release Star Wars movies, what else deserves to make the top 5?
Okay, because I'm a bit of a contrarian, and because Paul's not here, and I know he hates this movie,
Paul hates a lot of movies.
I'm gonna throw down a vote for Last Jedi. I know, objectively, it's not one of the top 5, but I think it's not about how great the movies are; it's how much you love watching them. And for this,
make your case.
I rewatched Last Jedi a couple days ago. I'm going, you know what? This is good. So there's in Frasier, there's a joke where he goes, "The best restaurant is one where the food is absolutely fabulous, but there are enough flaws that you can talk and complain about them all night." And for me, Last Jedi is a bit like that. The best thing about Last Jedi is, even though it's really good, there's a lot wrong with it. And the things that are wrong with it are kind of the most fun, like the bombers.
Oh, yeah.
Love the bombers. It's ridiculous, but it looks amazing. It's a really cool sequence. It's kind of pays homage to the World War II footage that George Lucas originally used. I think he originally used shots from Dam Busters when he was editing the movie together. So yeah, it looks great. Great attack sequence of the bomber squadron. Who cares about gravity? You don't need gravity. It's galaxy far, far away. But
Give me some more good points from this movie because
I mean, you just mentioned one of many flaws in that film.
I mean, that's what, we will talk about the flaws at length, I'm sure. So, okay, I'll get the good bit. So,
give us the good bits, and then we can we can.
I think that they were
And we can
brave
poo-poo
enough not to just give the fans what they wanted. So, the start of the movie, Rey hands him the lightsaber, and all the little Star Wars fanboys like me go, "Oh, I'd love to be handed a lightsaber," but Luke's badass. Luke just chucks it away because he's realized from the whole history of this past 40 years that the Jedi are mean and corrupt and a bad influence in the galaxy. And
but lightsabers are cool though, so why just keep
are cool?
Oh.
But Luke Skywalker is cooler.
I mean, I have to be honest, that is at the point in the movie where it very nearly lost me because I was like, what the has he just done? That just did not sit right with me at all. And from that moment on, there was just more moments that just didn't sit right with me at all.
I think that's because you love Star Wars too much.
Possibly.
Is that possible?
You're in the wrong chat, Tim, if you're saying that.
I mean, see, I felt
give me some more good things.
But
just redeem this movie for us. Come on, tell us the other good bits.
So Mark Hamill I think this is his best performance as Luke Skywalker. He's old, he's crotchety, he's still a badass with a lightsaber, especially at the end. But yeah, he kind of occupies the Yoda role.
No, it isn't.
I'm getting nowhere. I'm fighting a lost cause. But okay.
Wow.
All right, Tim, give us one bit.
Here's my central thesis on this movie. It's meant to be a republic, right? And in this movie, they try to establish that the galaxy should not be ruled by the royal Skywalker family. The Force should be, enjoyed and employed by everyone from the lowest slave boy in that weird casino they go to for no reason whatsoever. Plus, well, it's great. The chemistry between Rey and Kylo, really cool. There's always really cool, quite passionate scenes where they're not even in the same quadrant. I like it because it's all shot. So it's shot it's like all set around Skellig Michael, which is a really cool part of Ireland. Although actually filmed in Donegal because the island that they use, Skellig Michael, is just like a tiny point of rock. So they found a bit of Ireland up north, Malin Head, where they pointed or shot it all. So there's a great photo of Mark Hamill driving away from Donegal with a big bag of Tato in one hand and a massive grin on his face. They all had a ball with filming in Ireland. So that gives me a little... Yeah, I'm losing you. Okay.
It is beautiful scenery.
The best... Okay, the thing I like most about this movie is discussing the bad things about it, which we will get on to. But it's
Wonderful.
funny, it's entertaining, and it's visually beautiful. Like that, the bomber sequence, ridiculous as it is, looks amazing. The final battle on the Salt Rock planet, oh my god, it's gorgeous. The throne room.
I'll give you that. The salt flooring of that planet, and when the little skimmer ships kind of skim across it and kind of create like a red trail where they go, that looks cool.
What I didn't like about that was the fact that the troopers all run into the trench, and one of the troopers picks them up, puts it in his mouth, and goes, "That's salt." It's kind of,
who cares? Yeah, don't explain it. No one cares.
Yeah, it's just on. White dust on red rock. You just go with it. But it's case.
Well, geology nerds would want to know that.
John, you jumped in. John, you go next.
Okay.
Is this movie The Last Jedi? Is it making the list?
Is it The Last Jedi? It is. It is funny.
It is funny. The porgs are very cute,
and it's funny from the beginning. The fact that Dameron is basically baiting Hux over the intercom with I'm holding for Hux. Yeah, holding for Hux. I'm going to crutch. I'm still holding for Hux. Are you still there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I have to interject here because, like Ollie said, throwing away the lightsaber, that was strike one for me. Strike two was that conversation. I didn't come to a Star Wars film for it to be really funny.
Well, I mean,
I agree, Tony.
Come on, Aid Edmondson is the first officer.
Love him.
Yeah, and the reason he
That's
is there
fine.
is because Ryan Johnson likes bottom.
Don't bring it into Star Wars, though. You can bring Aid Edmondson in all you want. Get him to
That
play an
says a
Imperial
lot,
officer.
I think.
That's fine.
But no, the thing is that you see Aid Edmondson, and he's actually playing it reasonably straight. But every so often, you see an Eddie Hitler,
Like he should be doing.
Yeah.
This isn't a funny galaxy, guys.
Yeah. I love the fight, the lightsaber fight in the Red Room, against the Imperial Guards, against Snoke's guards.
Praetorian guards, is that what they're called?
The Praetorians, possibly.
From
But
South Africa.
that's actually pretty badass. Something that they don't follow through with in the next one, but I'm sure we'll come to that. It is apparently this is the film that Ryan Johnson wanted to make. This is his Star Wars film through and through. I love the fact that is it Hodo, Admiral or General?
Oh, yeah, Laura Dern's character.
Holdo. That the hyperspace jump as a weapon is beautiful. It is a beautiful shot. Oh, come on! There are so many problems with this film. It looks beautiful. I mean, I rewatched it, and as much as first time I saw this kind of opening day after a night shift on an early morning showing.
I think I did the same, actually, John.
Perfect.
And I didn't like it. I actually didn't like it. I mean, there were things in it that looked all right, but it's a case of it was very slow and very ponderous, and the fact they're being but it's a film. I mean, I'm going to talk bad points here. It's a film where absolutely nothing goes right. Every plan that they
including
have
the film
goes absolutely wrong.
Well, yeah. I'll tell you why. The whole plot of the film revolves around the fact that Poe Dameron can't take orders from a woman, and because of that, he gets the entire rebellion wiped out.
Pretty much.
Because if he had just listened to Laura Dern, he wouldn't have gone off that side mission. He wouldn't have sent Finn and Rose to waste their time. They wouldn't have brought the wrong code breaker back to the enemy ship, who then gave away her plan, which meant the First Order wiped out the entire rebellion. If he had just shut up and done what he was told, they would all have been safe on the lovely rock salt planet.
So no from you then.
Yeah,
sorry,
I'll put up a fight for it, but it's still going to be a no. So
we'll come to Chris next.
So I really liked the first of the newer trilogy, and I was really looking forward to The Last Jedi, and I was massively disappointed. I could see what Ryan Johnson was trying to do, and I liked the ideas that he was trying to put across. The idea that it's not just the Skywalkers; anyone can be a Jedi, anyone can have midichlorians. But the jarringness of it, and it just seemed to, for me, it just seemed to fight against the Force Awakens. It was just, yeah, to me, it seemed like Ryan Johnson was like, oh, sod J.J. Abrams, I'm going to do whatever I want. Kathleen Kennedy's giving me the green light. which I think was the worst decision. And that's, I think, what the biggest problem is overall, is that there was no cohesive arc across the 3 films. There was not a point. Kathleen Kennedy et al. Did not say, okay, Ryan, or JJ and Ryan, we're starting here and we need to end there. Do whatever you like in between, but we need to get to this point at the end. And there just was not that there. And for me, it all fell apart because of that. And I'm not sure how much it is Rian Johnson's fault, but
all of it.
I feel for that reason that I can't say yes. I'm afraid, Tim, but I respect to you for your efforts.
Yeah, Tim, I respect you for not kind of bowing to nerd peer pressure and ignoring this movie for this list. But for me, like you, Chris, I was very disappointed. I had such high hopes. I thought The Force Awakens, I pretty much enjoyed it at the cinema. The first viewing of The Force Awakens, I really enjoyed it. And then I watched it again at the cinema, and I kind of picked a few holes in it and noticed a few things that didn't sit quite right with me. But I thought, no, Rian Johnson, he'll nail this. I had so much faith that he was going to take this in the right direction. But yeah, it was disappointment. Bear in mind that it was released not very long after Carrie Fisher had sadly passed away. And there's a moment very early on in the movie, and this was a very strong moment. This is one of the positive kind of moments up to a point in the movie, where you see Kylo Ren and he's in his TIE fighter and he's attacking the Resistance ship, and then he senses that his mother, Princess Leia, she's on that ship, and he's going to shoot, but then he doesn't. He's like, I can't. Bear in mind, he's just killed his own father. One of the best moments for me, even though we've lost one of the best characters in Han Solo in The Force Awakens, the way that shot in The Force Awakens, and the fact that he has that kind of conflict and you see that, and you expect him not to do it and then he does it. That's the kind of surprise that works for me in a Star Wars movie. That it's within the story. It's something I sort of thought it was going one way and it went the other way. And this, you see Kylo Ren, he's about to shoot, and then he's like, oh, my mum, I can't, I've just killed my dad. And then he was like, oh no, I can't kill my mum. So you get that conflict there, and you see that there's still some light in him and he can't do it. And then the other 2 ships come in and they shoot and they blow up the Resistance deck or whatever it is. Bear in mind, Carrie Fisher's literally only not many weeks or months before that passed away. They could have reworked this movie, and personally, I think they perhaps should have done, for that to have been the way that Princess Leia then died in the Skywalker saga.
Couldn't agree with you more.
And that would make that a really kind of poignant thing. It would make it a really poignant moment for Kylo Ren as well. It might make it a turning point for his character. He decided not to do it, but somebody else had done it. And it would have worked, because she's not really in the rest of the movie at all, because she's kind of recovering after having been blasted out the front of the ship, and then used her Force Mary Poppins to kind of zoom herself back in. And that was a moment for me as well, where I thought, I don't know. And it was 2 things. It was, I don't know whether they should have, 1, kept the character alive at that point, and 2, I don't know what that was. And I'm very open for new things and new things within the Star Wars canon, in what you can do with the Force and things. I am sort of open to that, but I'm not open to loads of things all kind of thrown at me at once, if that makes sense. And I felt that was too much and too far at that point. That didn't sit right with me. And then there's kind of lots of other elements. and some of it's beautiful, like the salt planets, and some of it's just a bit naff, like the casino planet. I just the design on that just didn't feel Star Warsy enough to me. It's my least favorite Star Wars movie of the 12 that have been have released. It's right at the bottom because there's bits of it that just upset me too much. But then it does have those. It does have that one moment which is really good. Is Kylo Ren is about to shoot his mum and doesn't do it. That moment I was like, yes, we can see that gives your character depth and meaning. But then everything else around it, oh god.
Yeah, can we take a moment for poor Admiral Akbar, who gets blown out at the same time?
You killed him off screen and just mentioned it in passing. Don't do that.
Yeah,
I love Admiral Akbar. Oh my god, Ryan Johnson, what are you doing? And the thing is, you're totally right. So Kathleen Kennedy let Ryan Johnson go and do exactly what he wanted with this movie, but at the same time, she's kind of pulling Star Wars movies left, right, and centre off other people. Rogue One, amazing. Gareth Edwards had that kind of the finishing of that movie kind of taken away from him, which may be for the best. We don't know because we never saw his kind of script or kind of cut of the movie. We don't know what he did and what they kind of picked up and changed. So fair enough, but Lucasfilm and Kathleen Kennedy and Disney and whoever, they had a history at that time of kind of removing control and taking back Star Wars to protect it for the right reasons. I think they were doing it for the right reasons. But with this movie, they didn't do that and should have done. So it's a no from me, Tim. I respect you for giving that one a go and for liking it. Having said all that, I watched the sequel trilogy with my eldest daughter, and she really enjoyed them. She liked that the heroine of the piece was a girl, was a young kind of kick-ass girl. So I got more enjoyment watching them with my daughter than I did on my own as a kind of cranky older Star Wars fan. So I like that about them. I think they probably do work for a younger audience, like all Star Wars. George Lucas always said was kind of for kids. So maybe I'm like you say, Tim. I'm just I love Star Wars too much, and that's why it didn't work for me. Tony, what do you reckon?
Oh, I mean, this is a utterly hard no from me. I hate the film. It destroyed my soul. To sum it up, and not in those like horrible fanboy trolls that were, so horrible to some of the female cast members during the.
There's no need for that, is there? There's no need.
No, absolutely not. I mean, they need to grow up, right? But I mean, you only pointed out, several things where it lost you. When she became Space Mary Poppins, I was like, no, you have lost me. I think it's a massively, deeply flawed film. Ryan Johnson says he's a Star Wars fan, but it didn't feel like it to me. There's so much wrong with it. Yeah, throwing away the lightsaber. I think they not only ruined the original characters. I wanted to see more of Carrie Fisher, give her Jedi powers, but don't make her float through space when she's just been blown out into it. I want to see her use her Force powers, but not as Space Mary Poppins. Luke Skywalker, a bitter old man. I'm sorry, after Return of the Jedi, I just don't think he would have gone down that path, personally.
I felt very naturally, much like Yoda was quite grumpy and old.
Yeah, I just don't think Luke would have given up because he didn't give up on his father. My favourite scene in the whole of the Star Wars films is when Luke throws away his lightsaber in front of the Emperor and says, "I'm a Jedi like my father before me." I don't think he would have gone down that path. I think he would have found a different way, like he did with his father.
Here's my theory on Luke's character arc. So Luke's whole story is that he's looking for a father figure. So he's an orphan boy in Star Wars New Hope. He finds Obi-Wan. So he finally got a father figure. Loses him to a lightsaber. Empire, he's got Yoda, new father figure, but Yoda's like quite grumpy, sends him off to fight Vader. Then he finds out that his actual real father is the man he hates most in the whole galaxy. And then in Jedi, he has the redemption arc of it, but it's sort of Jedi. He's kind of come to peace with the fact that he doesn't need a father figure, and he doesn't need a father to save him. He wants to save his father, and that's how it all comes to a lovely crescendo at the end where he redeems his father. But by the time that's Jedi, he's tried to be a father figure himself to Ben Kenobi and failed miserably, and that's why he's so miserable. Because he searched his whole life for a father, and then when he tried to be a father, he was a complete failure at it, and he's upset.
That's an interesting way of looking at it.
And also, if you've ever watched the Clone Wars series, it gives you a better insight into why the Jedi failed. Ahsoka Tano's character, I won't kind of spoiling things. I think it's really worth everybody, if you're a Star Wars fan watching it. It starts a bit slow, but gets better and better and better and better. But it gives you a really good insight into why the Jedi failed. It makes more sense. It makes Revenge of the Sith make more sense. They just can't see that the way they're doing things isn't right and isn't perfect. So what Tim's saying there does sort of feed into that as well, which is quite good. John?
Oh, can I go back to my starter Last Jedi hating, because I definitely haven't finished yet.
Oh, yeah, go on.
So as I said, original characters felt treated poorly. New characters from The Force Awakens, I also felt were dealt a very bad hand, because they didn't feel the same character in The Force Awakens. You know, Finn, I thought was a great character in The Force Awakens. It just feels different. I felt like Poe was different, and you know, Rey. I think the only one that can maintained any consistency was Kylo Ren. And
Adam Driver is brilliant. He
yeah.
The whole thing.
He's definitely great in it. And I'm going to end with this. As I said, Luke Skywalker is my favorite character. I love Mark Hamill, but the reason why I hate The Last Jedi is that they killed Luke through space constipation.
Was he straining too hard?
He looked like he was straining too hard. You know, when he's projecting himself across the galaxy and then, you know, dying.
It's too much of that green milk obviously clogged him up.
I mean, there you go. That's another horrible.
Absolutely horrible. What are you doing?
But when
it's the weird look he gives Rey as he's doing it. It's like kind of
if Rey wasn't there, he'd have gone straight from the titty, wouldn't he? Which isn't okay.
But you know, kill my favorite character or hero ever through space constipation, unforgivable.
John Greedo, John Backer. John Backer, what do you reckon?
Well, I've already said.
Oh, have you?
He was hard no.
Everybody said no then.
A complete whitewash.
Shut out, Tim.
I did my best.
No, we're not doing. That's not happening. We're not having it. The Last Jedi, Ryan C. Johnson. Hang your head in
Order
shame.
66 has been executed, Tim. Sorry.
So I just kind of want to see this Star Wars trilogy that they're going to give to Ryan Johnson.
Will it happen?
I mean, if it's in a different bit of the galaxy and he's not messing around with Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker.
Galaxy further away.
Yeah, far away.
Further better.
Yeah. Chris, what's another movie that absolutely has to be on the top?
I could go for a home run nomination, but I think I need to make sure that some other ones are in there first. So I'm kind of going lower down on my list. And I am going to nominate Rogue One. I think this is a fantastic film. It's very dark, it's very gritty. It's set before A New Hope, and the main protagonist, her dad designed the Death Star, and for some reason he decides, I think he has a change of heart, and he realizes that this is awful, So he created the porthole, the weakness in the Death Star, and he told his daughter about it. And she escaped before the Empire killed the family. And then she gets to the rebellion, and they find out about this. So they realize that they need to get these plans to safety before the Empire catches them. And so we're on a quest to destroy. They go on a kind of a death, not a death wish. I want to say, what's it? Anyway, it's a mission where they know they're probably not going to survive, so they get a team together.
We knew that. Did they know that? I don't know if they knew that quite so much. I definitely felt that.
That's a good question. Yeah, I think they were so accepting of their fate at the end.
Definitely at the end.
Yeah. So yeah, it pays really nice homage to the original trilogy. There's some nice Easter eggs. There's some great performances, and the scenes with Darth Vader are amazing, and the actual story and the mission that they have to go on is quite brutal and violent, which is kind of, it's a step away from the traditional Star Wars, but I really like that, and I think they really capitalized on the fact that it was a Star Wars story, so they could do different things with it and take the risk, and it really paid off. And in the end, by the end of the film, I just want to go straight into New Hope. And anytime I have watched Rogue One, I always watch A New Hope straight off the back of it, because I can't not. It's so yeah, Rogue One is my nomination.
Wonderful. Tim, did you want to go off, or do you want to kind of do your answer on Rogue One and then
I'll do 5 minutes on Rogue One and then I'll run. Right. So it's going to be a yes, because it's very good, but it's not an unqualified yes. It's not a totally enthusiastic yes. I watched it again last night, and remember that I left the cinema when I first watched this on a high. Just, it's great, it's amazing, because it's a movie of two halves. The second half is brilliant. First half kind of dull. So it starts off with Saul Bellow, or Forrest Whitaker's character, Saw
Gerrera.
The problem I had with this, and similar to the Solo movie, I kind of feel he's a character from the expanded universe. I assume
he's in the Clone Wars. He's in the Clone Wars as a young man.
So he's probably a really interesting character, but I haven't seen the Clone Wars. I paid my ticket to see a Star Wars
Rebels movie. As well.
Again, expanded universe. So I wasn't that interested.
Canon, though. Those things are canon. I'm obsessed with canon.
Well, I haven't read the Star Wars comics or played all the Star Wars games either. So I'm going off
canon anymore.
as a humble punter who had only watched movies, I was like, "Who's this guy? Don't care." So yeah, you were saying that Rian Johnson was it Gareth Edwards? This movie was taken away from him, and I get the feeling that it's good that it was, because first half quite slow, quite dull, but then once they have to get on the mission, the last battle, the space battle with the hammerhead thing plowing into the destroyer, plowing into the other destroyer, smashing it. I mean, that's amazing. And it's lovely that they all die at the end. Because you
such a sweet moment.
Because you're building up the pain so that the pleasure of the final victory is you got to know why the Empire is evil. I kind of got the impression that this movie was really the Bothan movie, because I kind of knew going in that they were all going to die, because in Jedi the actress famously has one line, the many Bothans died line. I thought, there's this amazing backstory about the people who stole the Death Star.
That's a different
Death Star. I know it's different Death Star, but I kind of got think, the backstory of stealing plans with Death Star. Let's make a movie of that. Let's make the first Death Star. And the same character is in this movie, played by a different actress. So this is for me
Looking
is
very similar though.
yeah,
Good
this,
look-alike.
This for me is the Many Boffins Died movie. It's a story that needed to be told, and I'm glad they did it. I'm glad they probably fixed it in reshoots, and yeah, it's a hard yes for me.
John, do you want to go next?
Okay. Rogue One is probably what The Last Jedi wanted to be. In that it was something completely different. It didn't follow the main story. It's a look at the expanded universe around the events. And I think it does it well. I think the thing about it was Gareth Edwards, wasn't it, the director of this one? The thing about Gareth Edwards wasn't this his second film?
A third, because he did Monsters and then he did Godzilla, didn't he? He did a Godzilla movie.
Right. Okay. So, but I think the story behind this is that the reshoots were actually done by Tony Gilroy, the guy who did some of the Bourne films. Yeah. And
he was editing it as well, I believe.
Yeah, so I think, but I'm not quite sure what happened. I think going back to the difference between the oversight on this one and the not oversight on Jedi. I think they tried to do a Marvel, where they were trying to follow the Marvel model, where they were bringing in new directors, new voices, but then turn around and say, well, actually, can we do it like this? Which is kind of what Marvel were doing at the beginning, but they had Kevin Feige, who was sitting there at the top directing the story and saying, well, we need this to link here, this to link here. Can you write it so it does that? As opposed to go off and do what you want. And oh dear, we forgot about this. So I think basically, it was a misunderstanding on the model that Marvel had created. Going back to the film, it is dark. It's a very welcome, different shade to the rest of it, and I really wish they'd make more Star Wars movies in the universe, as The Mandalorian and now the Book of Boba Fett are now kind of showing that you don't have to be part of the original. You don't have to be part of the original timeline and the Skywalker saga. Thank God that you can move away and you can actually have decent stories based on the characters in those stories. And there's more to it than just the Emperor and Skywalkers.
I hate Skywalkers.
No, I don't know. I don't hate the Skywalkers. What I have a problem with is the fact that the entire saga is based around one family. There is, I mean, the Clone Wars and Rebels and things like that are great because they actually expand your universe. It's not the same 5 characters for 3 films to the same point. So I actually find this is not. I kind of break the Star Wars films into three categories. You have the original trilogy, which are great. They are as they are because that's how they were made. You have then you have Phantom Menace and the prequel trilogy, which are the George Lucas expanding his own ideas, and not necessarily getting it right, but it creates a bigger world. And then you have the Disney cash grab trilogy. And because when they got the rights, they kind of went, well, we need to make some money because we just paid George £40 million for this, $40 million for this.
4 billion. Because they bought Lucasfilm, they bought Skywalker Sound, they bought CHX, they bought.
But they needed to get their money back, and I believe they just kind of went, well, let's make films like the original trilogy because everybody likes those. This is not like the original trilogy. This is a break from the difference. This is a break from the template, and I think that's why it benefits, and I think that's why it's got such a good reputation, and that's why it's a yes from me.
Wonderful, Tony.
Made it.
Controversially, it's a no from me. I think it's not a bad film. It's got some good scenes. Do you feel like it's an amalgamation of too many cooks? There's only one cook. Sorry, it's bad. And I don't know. There's just where I can see. I'm happy for people to divert from the Skywalker saga, you know. Although I do think sometimes people say, "Oh, seem to hate it a bit." The Skywalker saga a bit too much. It's like, well, it's kind of the core of Star Wars. So while I don't mind it kind of getting away from that, I always wanted to see like the rebels stealing the plans for the Death Star. It's just a bit too dark for my taste for Star Wars. And I like dark things, but I just found it was somewhat at odds with, I guess, what I think Star Wars should be. It has its dark moments, and then just like obliterating them all at the end. What was kind of poignant is I just left a bit of a sour taste in my mouth, which I didn't like.
Tony, did you not feel though, like obviously that was like a real like heart-wrenching moment, but then by the actual end of the film, where you're seeing a creepy Carrie Fisher CGI going hope, did you not like go, oh yeah?
Yeah. I mean, there was that. I mean, as you say, creepy Carrie Fisher CGI. They should have definitely taken a few more passes at that. I also, I guess, and also I love Peter Cushing, but I'm a little also uneasy about bringing people back from the dead, even if you have the family's permission. I know, Governor Tarkin would have been central to that plot, but maybe recast rather than map a dead man's face on. There are limits, I think, personally. Respectful. Is it? Even with the family's permission? Would he have gone for it? I don't know. I mean, the Darth Vader scene at the end, bloody love. It was
insane, amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of the best in the trilogy. One of the best in the saga, and obviously ties up nicely with a similar scene at the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian. So, yeah, it would be my bottom 3, controversially. Much better than the Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, but it was just perhaps a bit too dark in Star Wars terms for my taste.
So
Okay.
just clarify then, there are 9 for you. There are 9 better films than that one.
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
Sorry. I know that's controversial as well. But...
For me, going into the movie, because these characters, I just assumed because you knew that they had the plans to the Death Star. We know that that's what they achieved. So for me, those characters would then be heroes. So there's no way that you couldn't have seen them in A New Hope unless they'd all died, unless they'd kind of perished in their mission. So going into this movie, I fully expected all of these new characters to be dead by the end of the movie.
I did as well. To be the same as you, that's what I was expecting. Even though I'd read Felicity Jones had signed on for 2 movies, the big Felicity.
Oh.
So and obviously they're making the new sequel to that, prequel to that film, aren't they? With
Andor, yeah.
Andor, yeah.
Diego Luna, isn't it?
Yeah, so I'll be very interested to see that. Anyway, sorry, I was interrupting you.
No, not at all. So yeah, I expected them all to die, and they did, and that was sad. But what I just liked that that was the first Star Wars movie they'd released since Disney owned it after The Force Awakens. So The Force Awakens, we've obviously moved on in time. Stormtrooper helmets are a bit more kind of streamlined now, and everything kind of looked a bit different. Whereas this one, they deliberately tried to make it look like A New Hope. It had to be that era of Star Wars. So you've got proper looking stormtroopers, and the the ships and the sounds in the corridors and everything was directly taken from A New Hope, wasn't it? So that feeling of watching a new Star Wars movie for me was better than The Force Awakens, because it felt like real Star Wars. The only bit that I felt was kind of fan service too far, and I think this was a movie that they made for the fans, knowing fully well that they'd kind of be able to absolutely kind of cash in on that, but they really wanted to kind of do a fan service with this movie. There's a bit where they're on Jeddah and they literally just bump into Ponda Baba and Dr. Avanza, and you just think, I like that you're trying to give us characters that we go, oh, it's him from the cantina, but it was shoehorned and it was unnecessary, and it's the only bit of the movie that actually jars me. I'm like, yeah, there's those guys, but there was no need for it. There's absolutely no need. Contrast that with the bit on Yavin, and Jimmy Smits walks in as Bail Organa, and I elbowed my brother because I was excited. I was like, oh, there's Bail Organa, because that, for me, that makes Star Wars make more sense, because you're tying Revenge of the Sith to A New Hope. You're bringing it together, whereas before they were kind of miles apart. But yeah, I absolutely love Rogue One.
Going back to what you were saying there, Ollie, I felt the same way, that kind of Easter egg, that nod was just a step too far. And some Star Wars nerds out there worked out that they would have had to have traveled a stupid distance in about half an hour in order to have escaped, and before the planet blew up, or and in order for them to get to Tatooine. But yeah, that's a very small thing in my opinion, anyway.
So yeah, it's a yes from me. So Rogue One does make our initial list. Well done, Chris. John, what would be your nomination for a top 5 Star Wars movie?
Well, I mean, looking through the list and revisiting stuff, I have to say that I'm pretty much a purist, actually. So I'm going to go with the pretty straightforward sequel, The Empire Strikes Back, because this is whereas everything in the first one is up and bright and everything looks good for the future and everything, this one, everything goes wrong. I mean, this is, and like I was saying about the Disney cash grab of the last 3, this is actually very close to the model that the Last Jedi was trying to follow. It's the one where it's a case of the rebels are on the run. You get to see the size of the Empire chasing after them. You get to see that they're a small band just trying to hold their own against what essentially is a central government, and it's about near misses and scrapes and getting away from things. Luke finds a new master, a new teacher, and we start to find out what the Force is all about, to be fair. I mean, in the first one, it's kind of, the Force is just this funny magic power that certain people tend to have, and it can make you do this. We get to, with this, with Empire Strikes Back, it's more of the spirituality of it. It's no longer such an abstract concept of, it's a bit of magic that space magicians do with laser swords, and it's got some of the best new vehicles. I mean, who else had AT-ATs?
Yeah, had an AT-AT.
Yeah, who else had theirs given away when apparently they didn't play with them anymore?
Oh no!
Yeah. I had a Rebel transporter as well. I never got the snow speeder, but that entire sequence with the snow speeder it just showed you how flexible Star Wars could be. The bit the first time I became aware that I'd seen this, I was at somebody else's party, and they had a dodgy VHS copy. And just as we're all packing up to go home, someone put it on, and it was Hoth. All I saw of it was the Hoth thing, the Hoth set up on Hoth and the snow creature.
Were you a kid, or was this just like some? Hang on.
No, I must have been about
last year.
7 years old.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, it was a case of the cool kid. It was the cool kids' party, and I was leaving as they put on the dodgy recording of Star Wars, and then it just seems to have more story, more plot. It kind of does the thing that the sequels usually do. It kicks everything up a gear, but it does it properly. It does it right. Everything kicks up a gear, and it doesn't over egg the pudding. It's one of the more perfect sequels ever made. The only problem with it is the fact that it's the second episode of 3, because it has the ending of a second episode of 3. You know that there's another one coming, and I think this was the first time I'd ever seen that happen. This is the first film I'd ever seen where where it ended on such a note that you knew that there was going to be another one and the story was going to continue. The introduction of Lando and Cloud City and his inevitable betrayal, and were all worked. Everyone has proper. They all have their reasons for doing what they do, and I actually think that you get some very well-rounded characters in Empire, as opposed whereas it's A New Hope, we're kind of introduced and it's more about the journey. This one's about the story and the characters and building on the characters. So Empire Strikes Back, guys.
I'm going to get to me next. It's a big yes from me. One character that you haven't mentioned who we get to meet in The Empire Strikes Back, not for the first time. We've covered this. We did a watch along of the Star Wars Holiday Special. But Boba Fett, incredible.
If you would like to find our watch along, it's on our YouTube channel. We didn't do an audio because what's the point?
Link in the comment below.
Yeah.
Paul's reaction throughout the whole thing is incredible. He's just like,
has he never seen it?
He'd never seen it before.
John hadn't seen it.
No. I saw a dodgy copy, and it's like, Jesus, I need to drink through this.
Yeah.
Perfect. You need to, don't you?
It's brilliant.
Yes.
Sorry, Ollie. It's not. It's awful. But The Empire Strikes Back, brilliant. Boba Fett, the bounty hunters that Darth Vader employs to try and hunt down the Millennium Falcon. And Boba Fett's the only one kind of clever enough to think that they might be hiding out on the back of an asteroid. I love the Hoth battle. I mentioned earlier that I had all the Hoth troopers. So yeah, the scene in the Wampas cave as well. I can't actually, and I can pick fault with a lot of things. I can't pick a fault in this movie. Not one. I can't pick a fault in it. And I absolutely, like you say, I love Star Wars too much, so I can pick everything to bits. I love the Ugnaughts when they are taking 3PO apart. Cloud City, just completely different aesthetic to what we've seen in Star Wars before. Luke in the Bacta tank, all of it. Absolutely love all of it. So it's a big yes from me. Empire Strikes Back. Tony.
Well, I would agree with you on every point there, Ollie and Jonathan. I would say the only fault with The Empire Strikes Back is it made other people think that every other Star Wars sequel should be like it. And I don't think that's the case. and where The Empire Strikes Back got everything right, The Last Jedi used it as a template and got everything wrong. So that, I would say, that's the only fault of The Empire Strikes Back. But yeah, I think it elevates everything to the next level. The characters, the action scenes. I think the characters do become more well-rounded. Luke's journey and like Han and Leia's journey. I love the scene in Dagobah where Luke, goes into the cave.
Yes, yeah.
I just think that's a brilliant scene that indicates what's going to come in an hour's time. Also Darth Vader was a badass before, but he becomes even more badass in this because he just kills everyone and cuts off his son's hand. So yeah, I would say it's the thinnest end of the wedge between the original trilogies for me. I think they've all got their. I kind of almost love them all equally, even the Ewoks. But another thing is, Jonathan said, all like the new vehicles, all the new characters, like Lando. Billy D. Williams. Come on, he's brilliant. And I think all of the things that are introduced that are new are iconic, like the original. And that's why it's Star Wars on the next level, and also one of the greatest sequels ever made in the same category as Godfather Part 2 and Aliens.
Cool, Chris.
Absolutely, John. I totally agree. Is it because of George Lucas not directing it? Is that why it's so good? Irvin Kershner taking over.
I have a fun fact about Irvin Kershner, if anyone wanted to hear it.
Go on.
So, my cousin is an actor and worked with him on RoboCop 2.
Wow.
From Empire
another almost near perfect sequel.
So your cousin was in RoboCop 2?
Yeah, he's one of the crackheads at the beginning.
Amazing.
He's the only one that survives RoboCop.
Was he acting, or was he just a crackhead?
No. He gets shot in the arm by RoboCop. He's one of the criminals at the beginning, but he's the only one that survives. And RoboCop hits him by the nose.
Oh,
Brandon
I watched it last. I was watching it last night.
Yeah, he's the one that, RoboCop picks up. Yeah, that's him. Yeah.
That's
Where's
awesome.
Kane?
So did he have good things to say about Irvin?
Yeah, he doesn't have a bad word to say about anyone. He's a lovely guy. But he was in No Country for Old Men and a bunch of other films. There you go. That's a quick fun
awesome.
The one thing that John hadn't mentioned, in fact, no one had yet about Empire, is that people going into the cinema to see it for the first time would have no idea about the massive twist towards the end of the film. And that's one.
We're not going to spoil it now, are we? Because
people might not have seen it. But to hear those words and to find out, who Darth Vader is,
people didn't even
must have been amazing.
Biggest twist in cinema history. Yeah. Like you say, Tony. People thought he was lying, didn't they?
And that to me, I mean, that just blows out the park. It's the one of the issues I have with the film, one of the few, is that I find Lando quite predatory and quite creepy towards Princess Leia. I first noticed it when I went to Secret Cinema because they did Empire. And the heckles that Lando Calrissian was getting with almost all of his lines was pretty funny. But he's a bit of a creep. But he is still cool with a cape. The other issue I have is not with the film itself, but with the merchandising following the film, is that I got really annoyed that the speeders were called snow speeders because they were never snow speeders. They were always speeders adapted for the snow.
Yes.
I know that doesn't kind of go well in a box for a toy, but it should have just been called a speeder, not a fucking snow speeder.
Never thought about this before, but yeah.
But the thing is, that Luke has a land speeder in New Hope. So they have to differentiate.
Speeder is a generic term in Star Wars, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, I mean, Han Solo became the epitome of cool in this film. I'm going
to point out,
I love you.
Han Solo had
I love you.
just as sleazy lines as Lando.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Han's
Come
pretty
on,
creepy in this
I
movie
know.
too.
Yeah.
I annoy my wife every time when she says, like, she's trying to, a sweet moment. She says, "I love you." I do it every time, and she's not every time. But.
And I mean, Harrison Ford coming up with that line himself as well. So
Cool.
Yeah.
So that's a yes from you, Chris. Tim, The Empire Strikes Back.
I mean, yes, got to be a yes, doesn't it? I came a bit late to Empire, I'll be honest. So I'd seen Star Wars, and then I watched Return of the Jedi, and then I read the novelization of Empire Strikes Back, which is great, like way better than the movie. So I was like well into my teens by the time I finally saw Empire. So I'd kind of seen the sequel, and I knew that Darth Vader was the father. So it was a bit, but then I got a VHS of it and watched it like to death. So yeah, I've overwatched Empire because it's so good. I mean, yeah, it's great. I love it. I don't think it's as great a sequel as everyone else does, but that's because I wasn't there of the age for the twist. If I'd seen it in the cinema, I would probably love it even more. It's got all the best. It's got Boba Fett, so that's it. That's all it needs for me. So I don't think it's perfect. I think the love story between Han and Leia is a bit forced. The dialogue is really clunky because George
I like the dialogue.
Well, George Lucas can't write romance. So yeah, the best line is the one that Harrison Ford came up with himself.
Oh, come on! Harrison Ford was doing the read-throughs for the original New Hope, and it's his quote to George. It goes, "You might be able to write this, but you sure as hell can't say it."
Yeah, yeah. So this is the movie where Luke kisses his sister.
It is.
But doesn't know.
But no,
doesn't make it better.
Leia kisses Luke, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Luke's lying there. He just gets the kiss.
He seems to enjoy it.
He did, yeah.
I mean, he doesn't know it's not his fault, but yeah, I think.
Apparently, there's like Star Wars there when he says she's beautiful when he sees a hologram of her.
Yeah.
I mean, you can. I mean, you can't tell him.
Just then think about when Luke tells Leia in Return of the Jedi that they are brother and sister, and then Leia says, "Yeah, I think I always knew that."
She had confused feelings.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, I found the end of this movie a bit of a because I'd already seen Return of the Jedi. It's kind of like, yeah, I watched them in the wrong order, is what I'm saying. But yes, it's a hard yes. Empire is a masterpiece. It's got
wonderful. So now we've got 3 on our list out of 4. It was only The Last Jedi that hasn't made it so far. It's my nomination next. I'll be quick with this one because I've not got high hopes for making the list, but I do just want to mention it briefly. My first nomination would be The Phantom Menace. So I know that there's lots of Star Wars fans out there that at the time and even still now criticize this movie. They don't like Jar Jar Binks. They don't like young Anakin Skywalker. The poor kid Jake Lloyd was nicknamed like Mannequin Skywalker in the press. Forget all of that. It's got the best fight sequence in any Star Wars movie ever. It's got the third coolest looking villain ever in Darth Maul, and Liam Neeson.
That's second, right?
So you got Darth Vader, you got Boba Fett, and you've got
Boba Fett. Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, villain-ish. Maybe he's not. I mean, Book of Boba Fett. Anyway. Digress. So I watched The Phantom Menace at the cinema. I was so looking forward to it coming out. I probably saw it like 6 times at the cinema. I just kept going back. me and my best mate, we made plastic lights 9 times, Tony. Good effort. We made lightsabers out of plastic tubes, like huge, like double-ended ones, and we choreographed fight scenes. We would like, how old would I have been in 99? Like 17, 18. We just scratched with these lightsabers in our gardens, like trying to recreate the Darth Maul, like Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon Jinn fights. I thought Liam Neeson was incredible as a Jedi, and he's that one. That's like the heyday of the Jedi. This is before anything's gone wrong in that universe, isn't it? So these are 2 Jedi doing their Jedi job of like helping to sort out conflicts in the galaxy. This is the only time that we've seen Jedi properly being Jedi. In Attack of the Clones, it was all kind of a bit of a mess, scrapping about in with some bugs and droids and stuff. That was proper Jedi on proper Jedi business. I mean, I know it was like trade negotiations and stuff like that, but we got to see the Jedi. Liam Neeson and Ewan McGregor, I thought, were brilliant together. And it didn't look like A New Hope. It was a bit more shiny and a bit more polished, which wasn't perfect, but it was a different time. So in my head, that could kind of progress. That was like a better time. So that's why it wasn't broken and ruined and recycled like it is in A New Hope. It's because it was like the heyday of the galaxy, that they had the Senate, and it was sort of functioning as it should. You had slavery in the galaxy. That's fine. Jedi don't deal with that. That just happens. So I love the pod race as well. I thought it was an incredible action sequence. And for me, I can forgive Jar Jar. He didn't really bother me when I watched it those 6 times at the cinema. It didn't. And Jake Lloyd, my only criticism, I have criticisms of the movie, but one of my biggest criticisms of the movie is when Anakin gets in the cockpit of the starfighter to hide, and then he kind of takes off and goes to attack like the control ship. He accidentally, or was like, "Oh, I wonder what these buttons do," and blows the thing up. He should have done that on purpose. This kid is like the next hope, supposedly, of the galaxy. He's the one that's going to bring balance to the Force. He should have had that within him to do those things deliberately. That's my biggest criticism of it. It's not Jar Jar Binks. He was sort of fine for me. Phantom Menace. Can we have the Phantom Menace in our top 5? I'm not sure it makes my top 5, but I just wanted to talk about it. It nearly does. Tony, you saw it 9 times. You must love it as much as I do.
I do love the film. I'm a big fan of it and would defend it. I just feel that I would put Revenge of the Sith and Return of the Jedi above it. And I would rather have those in the top 5. And
you could have all 3.
I thought, well, we've already got 3, haven't we?
Yeah, but you can have all 3 on our 7
first.
We're gonna get to a list of 7. So would it make the
time.
top 7? Would it make an initial list?
Okay, then yes. Darth Maul, Ewan McGregor, and something that no one's mentioned so far: the music. Duel of the
Fates, yeah.
Love that. So I'm going to keep mine short and sweet. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you, Tony. Tim, is it a yes from you?
So the best bits of this movie are some of the best bits of Star Wars.
Definitely.
Like Duel of the Fates, the double light, when that door lifts open and he does
the other end. He does the other end as well.
Like, no. And then the double lightsaber, and you go, and then the music kicks in, and that whole sequence is one of my favorite sequences in all of Star Wars.
I'm getting chills as you're describing it.
But I wanted to love this movie so much. Like all of us, I was so hyped. I went to cinema so excited, and it's like, so it starts off with a trade federation dispute.
Yeah, that's what you need.
Taxation.
Okay, there's lots to love in this movie. Qui-Gon's awesome. Ewan McGregor is having the time of his life playing Obi-Wan. Darth Maul is great character who has 3 lines, all voiced by Peter Serafinowicz does the voice.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, but he really makes up for the end. He's great, but it's a bit of a mess. So, here's it. Who's the hero of the Phantom Menace?
Obi-Wan? R2. Is it Obi-Wan?
Is this the story?
Is it Anakin?
Okay, New Hope.
It's Jar Jar. It's Jar Jar.
Yeah, but so who? So is it sort of Obi-Wan, or is Anakin the hero?
It's a collection of heroes. Is it Padme Amidala? It's a collection, a team effort.
I would say that it's actually Qui-Gon and Anakin.
It would be much better movie if it was about the relationship between Qui-Gon and Anakin, and they're differing. And I think that's the movie it was meant to be, but it sort of isn't, because then they bring in Qui-Gon or Anakin, and then there's Padme, and it's really obvious that Padme is Queen Amidala because they're both played by Natalie Portman, and then we've got to talk Jar Jar. I mean,
you mentioned him. It's fine. It's fine.
I want to.
I mean, I have nothing but love for the poor guy who played Jar Jar.
Mr. Skin.
But
the son doing murder to Mr. Skin. Sorry.
Yeah, well, Paul Ahmed,
Jar Jar
he
and the Trade Federation and the slave owner guy. I mean, there's some lazy, racially stereotyping characters in this. It's an uncomfortable watch now. Like the Trade Federation, these kind of evil motive, and they're all given quite Asian accents. The Gungans, I mean,
the blue fly Jewish trader guy that owns Anakin,
Jewish/Middle Eastern. It's just lazy writing, and I think strikes a sour note for otherwise wonderful franchise. But I'm picking it. It's just not that as entertaining. Apart from the amazing bits in it, the pod race and the lightsaber fight, amazing. Rest.
So that's a yes, Tim? Or no?
It's a no. There are bits of it I love. Liam Neeson's line, "There's always a bigger fish," has stayed with me through the years. But it's going to be a no, because there are so many better Star Wars movies.
Okay. Chris, what do you think?
More Darth Maul, less Jar Jar Binks. I would have said yes. But as it stands, Misa, sorry.
You like it? I feel so. John, you have a deciding vote. Does the Phantom Menace make our initial list of 7 best Star Wars movies?
You're talking about films with messy plots. I think this is probably more streamlined than the 2 that came after.
I agree. I agree.
Because there's a more straightforward through line through this film than there is in either of the next 2.
Really? Revenge of the Sith.
Now, I would say that I quickly put together a list of what my top films are, and the prequel 3 are in there, but towards the bottom. And to me, those 3 are kind of a toss up, a bit of a toss up, because each of them have something I like, but they're not. Some of them are more perfect than others. I think The Phantom Menace, if you watched it as the first one, as kids nowadays probably will, I think it should go on the list. I think it's a yes from me.
Makes the list.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, John. So we've each nominated 1 movie, so we'll go around again. So far we've got A New Hope, we've got Rogue One, we've got The Empire Strikes Back, and we've got The Phantom Menace. We'll speed up a bit now. Speed round. Tony, what's your nomination?
Well, I'm torn between Return of the Jedi and Revenge of the Sith, but I'm going to go with Return of the Jedi. I just think it's a great capper of the original trilogy. I know people have their issues with it, particularly the Ewoks. But it depends if you want to see it as a a reference to the Vietnam War, which apparently sometimes it is, a bit like Aliens. And, a superior force beaten by people with lesser technology. But, yeah, it's just the original characters that I love. And as I said before, it's got one of my favourite scenes in the throne room with the Emperor. Also, the Emperor's a pretty good bad guy, Ian
McDermott, incredible.
Yeah, he's got a cunning evilness. He doesn't even do anything really. He just sits there, and you can tell his voice
is amazing.
Yeah. But it's the throne room scene where Luke throws away his lightsaber. Gets me every time. I don't have to be like you. I don't have to be like my father. I'll go my own way, and I don't need violence to do it.
Strong enough. Cool. Tim, Return of the Jedi.
I'm going to defend the Ewoks.
I like the Ewoks. I just think some people have.
Yub.
I went through a real
Great song.
Because they're so cute. I went through a real phase of like thinking they were just a toy merchandising thing. But Ewoks are badass. Ewoks are vicious little fuckers. Like Ewoks,
they'll nibble at your ankle.
They'll trap people for meat.
Yeah.
They'll take you. They won't kill you. They'll like strap you to a fire and burn you alive, and then they'll eat you, and then they'll use your drum as a skull. Yeah, Ewoks are vicious little bastards. And yeah, the bit that gets me every time, that poor Ewok dead and his friend tries to wake him up. And, every time.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And also, the Ewoks have got really good traps as well, haven't they? With the Scout Walkers.
Mm.
Yeah, they're smart.
Over.
Speaking of the Jub Jub song.
Oh yeah, the original.
It's unforgivable that he cut it out of the remake or the special edition. But the big feast at the end, they're all celebrating, banging the stormtroopers' skulls. What do you think they're eating there? they're eating roasted stormtrooper who they have cooked alive.
Porgs, surely.
Oh God, I forgot about them. One thing I'd like to mention about Return of the Jedi, the music again, particularly in the throne room scene where Luke is like lost his temper and going for it. You actually think, again, John Williams, brilliant, just adds to it, and also Luke losing his temper but pulling it back.
Yeah. So was that a yes from you, Tim?
Oh, that's a hard yes. Sorry, I've
hard yes.
Much more to say about Jedi.
John.
Quite simply yes.
Because
it's just pretty much capped. Apparently they were Ewoks because they spent so much on the Wookiees for the holiday special they couldn't afford them. No, the original idea for the Ewok village was going to be a Wookiee village on Endor or maybe even Kashyyyk. So they were downsized due to budgetary cuts.
And not merchandising. They can sell.
Apparently not. Apparently they were always.
I thought it was because they couldn't find enough tall people to play Wookiees, and then they just had a load of short people, so they got them in.
Yeah, quite possibly. No, I think this is a threequel which other film series have tried to model on and haven't quite got it to work. Wasn't this supposed to be basically this was supposed to be the ending of Empire Strikes Back, but they actually just wrote more plot. Something like that. So it actually ended up being 3 films instead of 2. Yeah, apparently. So yes, it's a yes. It's a yes from me. And just quickly, as we're going back to The Last Jedi, the Porgs are only there because they couldn't get rid of the puffins on that damned island, so they made a feature of them instead. Yeah,
they took lemons and made lemonade.
Exactly.
Cool. Thank you, John. Chris, Return of the Jedi.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's the one I remember watching the most growing up. It's what's not to love about the original version. It's great.
Cool, thank you.
Great end to the trilogy.
Be a yes from me as well. My favourite bit actually is Jabba's palace. Absolutely love Jabba's palace. Love Jabba the Hutt. But that whole
Rancor.
yeah, the Rancor scene.
Oh, I love the bit
And-
where the Rancor keeper is like has to be consoled.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because he loves his Rancor so much.
He's lost his pet. Yeah, because Rancors start little. You see it in don't know if it's Clone Wars or the Rebels, but you see like little Rancors, and then they grow up and like absolutely love Jabba's palace. Love Jabba.
Shame about
That's
Boba.
But then we've got the Book of Boba Fett now. So
What's going to be in the Rancor's pit? That's what I want to know.
have you not watched the first two episodes?
First episode, I haven't seen 2 yet.
Well,
You've
I'm guessing you find out.
Well,
got something to
I'll
look
say no
forward
more.
to.
I'll say no
Okay.
more.
Cool. That's
Cool.
5
So
then, is it?
that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5
That's
on the
5.
list. Yeah, we have.
Ooh.
So Tim, have you got another one for us? We'll make it up to
Well,
7.
I
shall we?
was going to do Jedi, but I'm going to throw another. This will be a heavy lift. I'm going to stick up for Attack of the Clones.
Oh, I thought he was going to go solo. That's all right.
No.
Go on then, Tim. Give us the good bits.
Clones. So it's where the prequels started to get good. I'm looking at Johnson's face, and he is not convinced. So it starts with assassination plot. You've got Anakin all grown up, and him and Obi-Wan are like these cool Jedis, and they're like go on missions. And what do I love? I'm going to be quick. What do I love about Clones? The best thing about it, this is where the wider mythology becomes real. This is where the prequels start to become linked to the main body of Star Wars. So you start to see the design come in. But the best thing about it is Palpatine's plan is starting to come together, and the evil genius Palpatine is engineered the situation where whoever wins or whoever loses, he wins. So on one hand, he's convinced the Jedi to like take this clone army and fight one war. Then he's got the Trade Federation with their droids fighting another war, and whoever wins or whoever loses, he ends up winner. So yeah, this is the start of the Clone Wars, start of the whole wilder mythology. There are lots of unintentionally hilarious bits in it, mostly involving Anakin trying to woo Amidala.
But what 19-year-old hasn't been in that situation?
I mean, it's quite unconvincing that you would fall for him, but there was one unintentionally hilarious bit in when I watched in the cinema where we all laughed. The scene where he's trying to woo her and they're having dinner together, and she's wearing a very, very slinky, sexy dress, and she rejects his advances. The next scene, he's lying in bed with no shirt on, tossing and turning, and the whole cinema pissed himself laughing because it looked like he was definitely
Tossing
wielding his lightsaber,
scratching Yoda behind the ears,
petting his Rancor. But
Polishing
worse
his
is
head.
like
Pulling the ears off his own Gundark.
Where's the scene after that? It's the next morning, and Amidala goes, or Padme goes, "Oh, I heard you tossing and turning last night." He goes, "Yes, I had a vision, and then I saw my mother." And the whole cinema just ew. Yeah. Come on, it's great. It's the start of the Clone Wars. It's like where the stormtroopers come from, where the Death Star comes from, where Boba Fett comes from. It's the origin story. Mace Windu gets a purple lightsaber. Come on, it's great.
John, is it great?
Yoda is a faker.
Oh, I didn't even mention Christopher Lee.
Yeah.
Come on, it's got Christopher Lee.
Yeah. Christopher Lee, the one who actually said, I want my lightsaber grip to be like this because this is my real fencing grip. Yeah. Right. Yoda is a complete and utter faker. He's been walking around with a stick for a movie and a half, and then all of a sudden he's jumping around like a monkey. Yes, there's lots to not like, but actually overall I think this actually fits right in the mythology. I think Yeah, the love story, as we've said, George can't do love. But having said that, I think the politics of it actually starts coming together, and the action is very good as well. So yes,
Cool.
I'll say yes.
Thank you. I would say no. It's the first Star Wars movie that I'd watched that disappointed me. There was bits that I liked. I liked Jango Fett, but some of the dialogue that he had them say. This is Jedi business. Go back to your drinks. It's not my fave, so it's a no from me. Chris?
Despite having a signed copy of Attack of the Clones by Christopher Lee, no, I don't like this film. Sorry.
Cool. Tony, you get the deciding vote. Would Attack of the Clones make a top initial 7 of best Star Wars movies?
It has its issues, this film. However, I am an unapologetic prequel apologizer. So
unapologetic apologizer.
So that means you hate that. I'm confused.
Yes.
Sorry.
I think Hayden Christensen gets a hard time. I don't think it was a massive. I don't think it was probably an easy role to do, and the expectations he probably had on his shoulders were unbelievable.
Amazingly, apparently he was hired because of his chemistry with Natalie Portman.
Yeah, no.
You couldn't tell.
But I think John and Tim have got some good points that I agree with. I enjoyed it. Would I have done things differently? Probably. But I'm a yes.
Yes, it makes the list.
Hey, I got one.
Well done, Tim. You got one on.
Wow.
Everybody's got one on the list, so that's democracy, isn't it? So we've got 6. Chris, is there a 7th movie that we should put on this list?
I've got yes, Revenge of the Sith. I think is better, but my number 4, Revenge of the Sith, is not my number 6. My number 4 is The Force Awakens. I think this was a really good start to the second trilogy, third trilogy. Sorry, it started off really strong, great new characters, great story, a really good way of reintroducing the original cast and integrating them with a newer, younger cast. Granted, it rehashes the plot of A New Hope with a new Death Star, but Kylo Ren is amazing. Rey is brilliant. The fight sequences are awesome. It looks amazing. The cinematography is fantastic. The music is good. Going into the cinema, I had such high expectations, like I did with the Phantom Menace, but I was not disappointed at all. I really enjoyed Force Awakens, and it's just a shame that it didn't go in the direction I was hoping it would at the end of the film.
Cool. John, The Force Awakens.
The Force Awakens is number 5 on my top 5. Yes, it's a carbon copy of A New Hope, but I have problems with the fact that Rey seems to grasp her Jedi powers very, very quickly. And I love the fact that she tells James Bond to leave his gun and walk away. Kylo Ren works. I won't say he's brilliant. He's a brilliant character in this. I think there was a lot more that could have been made. I think Finn. I think Phasma is the biggest disappointment, and I think Finn needed more to do or needed more agency. Apart from that,
the sequel films, though, didn't he? I mean, like at least
they killed his character in the sequel films. I think it goes on. It's my number 5. It's on top. It's in my top 7. So yes.
Tim, Force Awakens.
Oh, an easy yes. I think it's the best of the sequels. Yeah. Did the thing Star Wars did is like you instantly love and like these characters. John Boyega is amazing. He's like it's cool and like really poorly served in the rest of the sequels, but I love Kylo Ren. I think it's really good. Like he's an angry, petulant teenage Darth Vader. He's got like an angry, fiery. He's like kind of lightsaber a teenage boy would choose. With like, oh, let's make it a big broadsword. That's fiery. Yeah, it's been really pleased with the first time I saw it and enjoyed it more the second time. So it ages well. So yes, it's a hard yes for me.
I'm going to go next. It's my number 7, so I'd say yes as well. I wish we had more Luke Skywalker. I just think we should have introduced him sooner. And Mark Hamill, when he read the script, he thought the bit that his character was going to be introduced in was, when they're fighting in the woods and the lightsaber goes flying past. Who's it fly past? Flies past.
And both Kylo Ren and Rey, yeah.
But then who catches it? Rey catches it, doesn't she?
Rey catches it.
In the script, when he was reading that, Mark Hamill thought that was then him. That would have been brilliant.
That would have been awesome.
That would have made it, wouldn't it? That would have made it.
Then, I think this was going to be Han Solo's movie, and then the sequel is going to be Luke's movie. Then I guess the final movie was going to be Leia's, but then tragically she died.
Yeah, but they would kill them in all of them, and that's what pisses me off.
Well, to be fair,
the anticipation. Sorry, John.
Sorry, they're old characters. So actually, being the end of their life cycle actually would make sense.
Space constipation.
I mean, Tony, Harrison Ford has wanted to be killed off since Empire Strikes Back.
That's true, but Harrison is.
I thought that's the best scene in the movie. The way that the light changes as it gets dark, it all turns red, and that something sinister is going to happen. But then, like you think he's had a change of heart because he's welling up. He's like, I know what I need to do, but I don't know if I've got the strength to do it. And then, oh my god, it's brilliant.
It is a great scene. But
so it's a yes from me, Tony.
Well, I mean, obviously it's going on the list. Just no matter what I say, I did enjoy it, and I rate it quite highly. I'm going to say no because I think Revenge of the Sith deserves above The Force Awakens, because I think Revenge of the Sith has music. I think it has the best lightsaber fight personally. And
can I just jump in then, Tony? Sorry. Can we all agree that Revenge of the Sith should get added to the 7? Because I have it on my list as well.
Yeah, I'm with you, Chris.
This is the Black Hawk Down moment.
Black Hawk Down moment. Does everyone else have it?
I'll go Revenge of the Sith.
John, what did you say?
Yeah.
I'm saying no, but does that discount it for the Black Hawk?
It's up to you, Ollie. It's up to you.
I'll stick it on, and then we'll have a list of 8.
Yeah,
and then we'll have to whittle that down. So Revenge of the Sith.
We have 8.
Yes.
1,
I thought
2,
we had 7
3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Force Awakens is our 7th. Revenge of the Sith is the mythical unicorn.
So the only one that was nominated that didn't make the list was The Last Jedi.
That's because we all love all Star Wars movies are great. So it's hard to say. I just can't say no.
So as the host of this one, I'll allow Revenge of the Sith. It's not on my list, but we've now got a list of 8. The only one notable mention for me that I'd have liked on there, it's in my top 5, was Solo. I just thought that movie.
I enjoyed Solo a lot.
Yeah, going into it, there were certain things that I knew that I wanted to see. I wanted to see Han meet Chewie. I wanted to see Han win the Millennium Falcon. I wanted to see the Kessel Run. I wanted to see all these things. That's what Star Wars was so good at. It was hinting at this huge, wider universe just in little bits of dialogue. We've criticised George Lucas's dialogue writing, but that's what he's really good at. He builds such a huge universe just by little kind of snippets. Who looks strong enough to pull the ears off a Gundam? We've mentioned pulling off Gundams. So Solo, it hit all those notes for me that I wanted it to, and I enjoyed
for me,
it.
Solo, like I wanted to see all those things happen as well, but they're just not well written enough. Like you want Han to win the Millennium Falcon off Lando, and they could do anything with that, but they just do a card game, and they're better.
It was going to be. That's how he won it, though. That's
how it said he won it. The thing with Solo is it's actually it's a very good Star Wars story. My only problem is the fact that I think Solo was characterized wrong. I think
I quite liked it.
He just didn't fit for me as growing into.
But that's the thing. You compare to Harrison Ford. It's like recasting Indiana Jones, isn't it? It's like
but it's just the character beats didn't quite work for me. So River Phoenix into Harrison Ford, I could take.
Oh yeah.
This character didn't feel right.
Right, are we ready to?
We are. We're gonna go round. So we've got a list of 8 now. Everybody's going to say the film that doesn't deserve to be on the list. So we've got A New Hope, Rogue One, The Empire Strikes Back, Phantom Menace, Return of the Jedi, Attack of the Clones, The Force Awakens, and Revenge of the Sith. Tony, what doesn't deserve to be on that list?
Rogue One.
Cool. Tim.
It's one I nominated. I'm going to say Revenge of the Sith.
Sith. Okay. Chris.
Phantom Menace.
And John.
I'm going to say Phantom Menace as well. Actually.
Phantom Menace as well. I would have said Revenge of the Sith. So that means, Tony, you get to choose whether Revenge of the Sith, or the Phantom Menace doesn't make the cut so far.
The Phantom Menace, I'm afraid, then does not make the cut.
So Phantom Menace is number 8. So then with 2 nominations, Revenge of the Sith is there. Is there anything that deserves to be? So I said...
I'll say Attack of the Clones then, because I think Revenge of the Sith is a better film than Attack of the Clones.
Well, we've got your nomination of Rogue One, so I'm going to go to Chris. What would you be your next?
Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the Clones, and John.
Yeah, I'm going to say Attack of the Clones as well.
So that makes Attack of the Clones number 7. So I've already said Sith. Tim, you've already said Sith. Tony's already said Rogue One. Chris, what would be next for you?
This is for number 6, yeah?
Yeah.
Revenge of the Sith.
Sith. So that definitely puts Revenge of the Sith there. John, what would have been your next nomination?
Sith.
Cool, that's where it is. It's cemented in. Tony's already said Rogue One. Tim, what would be your next lowest ranked film on that list?
I'm gonna say Rogue One because the first half of it isn't that good, but the second half is amazing. So Rogue
One. That has 2 votes now. Chris, what would be next? For
Rogue One.
Rogue One. So that puts Rogue One there. John, what would you have said?
Force Awakens.
So Rogue One is number 5. I would have said, what would I have said? You're gonna hate me. I'd have said A New Hope. I've just got other movies above it. I've got Rogue One above it.
OMG.
Anyway, Rogue One's there. So I've said A New Hope. Tony, what would be your next least favourite now that Rogue One's on the list?
The Force Awakens, then.
Force Awakens. Oh no, I'd have said that. What you said.
Well, that makes
Anyone
3
else?
votes.
So John
That's
says
three
Force
votes.
Awakens. Chris, what would you say?
Force Awakens.
And Tim?
Yeah, much as I love it, I can't put it above the original 3. So yeah, Force Awakens.
Force Awakens, I'm
I-
with you on that.
I have to
I've
say,
forgotten it was
this
on the
is-
list.
So far, the most in sync whittle down we've ever done.
Yeah, it has to be, doesn't it? So that makes Force Awakens number 4. So number 3, I would say A New Hope. Tony, what would you say is number 3?
This is where it gets tense.
I mean, it's that. I mean, I class them all on the same level virtually.
But
But I'll say the Empire.
oh,
Tony said Empire. Tim?
Oh, you're making me choose between AT-ATs and speeder bikes.
Speeder bikes.
I'm gonna. Oh yeah, I'm gonna put Return of the Jedi next.
Jedi. John?
But it hurts.
Uh,
It hurts.
Jedi.
John says Jedi. And Chris, what would you have said?
Jedi.
Jedi. So that makes Jedi, Return of the Jedi is number 3. So I've already said A New Hope. Tony's already said Empire. Tim?
Well, hang
now
on,
we
hang
do.
on, hang on,
Now
hang
we
on.
do our
What's number
our
one?
So we
What
vote
is
for our
number
number
one?
1 out of the 2.
So out of gone and Tony, out of Empire and A New Hope, what is number 1? Tony says A New Hope. Tim?
You know.
Oh, he's got to be A New Hope.
It's 2 votes for New Hope. Chris?
Empire.
Empire. John?
Oh God, no!
Empire.
I get to decide.
You already have.
How good is this? And I already have. Yeah. So that puts A New Hope at number 2, and Empire Strikes Back is our favourite collective Star Wars movie for the 5onfilm podcast. Play the
Play the
fanfare.
sting.
Cool. Brilliant. Well, thank you guys. Should we do a rundown? We've got... Go on, Chris.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to dash off.
Brilliant. Thank you for joining us. Was there anything else you wanted to say
Okay.
before you go, Chris?
No, all good. And my actual top 6 is exactly how we voted for it.
Congratulations.
Excellent.
Good effort
Well
there.
done.
Thank you. Bye.
Cheers.
Bye, Chris. Bye.
Bye.
I'll just give it a quick rundown of the top 8 it ended up being. We'll do the top 5. So number 5, we had Rogue One. Number 4, we had The Force Awakens. Number 3 was Return of the Jedi. Number 2, A New Hope. And our favourite Star Wars movie is The Empire Strikes Back. Paul, he sent me his list of his top 5. Would anybody like to hear
Yeah.
Emperor Paul Patine's top 5? One sec. So I liked Paul's list. His favourite was Rogue One. Number 2, he has Return of the Jedi. Number 3, Empire Strikes Back. Number 4, A New Hope. And Solo was in his top 5. Solo was in my top 5 as well.
Solo is great, but Rogue One, number 1, that is massively
It's a good movie. It is a good
Yeah,
movie.
but Paul's very contrary anyway.
Yeah.
I know he loved it. I remember seeing him after he saw it, and he said he loved it.
Cool. Tony, is there anything else? Thank you for joining us. Thank you for coming on 5 on Film for the first time. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Like to say?
That Revenge of the Sith should have been in the top 5.
Tim?
Game about Rise of Skywalker, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we didn't even mention that, did we?
No,
There was
we
a
didn't
reason
get-
why we didn't mention that.
I mean, I watched it last night. It wasn't as bad as I remember.
I enjoyed it at the time. I just wish that those 3 movies had an arc. I just wish
Yeah,
that it
there
kind
is
of
a
followed
movie.
on.
There is the problem I have is the fact that there is a movie missing. So even if you go from Last Jedi to Rise of Skywalker, there is a movie missing which actually tells you who half those people are in the final film. And it's like they kind of went, JJ, we need JJ back to do the final film, and he went, well, that's my plot. I'm just going to lose the bit that I was going to do.
Yeah, I mean,
between.
He had a lot of work to do, didn't he? He had a lot to kind of patch,
The ending was disturbing when Billy D. Williams is sitting down with the girl that is essentially his daughter in the film, but they decided to cut that bit of the plot out.
Yeah. There is, like I say, there is like the Knights of Ren. You don't really see the Knights of Ren.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're terrifying, are they?
Yeah, it's a shame that they didn't make more of that. And like, so Disney Plus have announced a Lando series, but we still don't know who's going to be Lando, whether it's going to be Donald Glover or whether it's going to be Billy D. Williams, whether it's going to be a mixture of both, whether like in Solo when he's kind of recording to his little dictaphone, like the Lando Chronicles. So
yeah,
you could have a bit of both, couldn't you? Which I think would be great. It would be.
I like Donald Glover. He was good.
Yeah. But for me, like in the Force Awakens, when they kind of they send kind of Poe, don't they, to go and get some information as to whereabouts of Luke Skywalker. They send Poe to go and see somebody to collect them.
Max von, I can never pronounce his surname.
Max von Sydow.
Yeah.
So Max von Sydow, yeah, brilliant actor, lovely guy, nice bit in the movie. But for me, that would have been better if that was Lando. But that for me, that should have been Lando, and that kind of ties everything together a bit more nicely. I don't know.
I just found the Rise of Skywalker in particular. It was very much lip service to a story that they were trying to tell. It happened so fast and over such a short time period as well. I mean, in this case, and they were doing things in those films which theoretically shouldn't be possible, like light speed skipping and things like that. He should have ended up going through an asteroid or two.
Also, surely because of the last Jedi, they could have done exactly the same thing that Admiral Hondo, or whatever her name was, the hyperdrive leaping through the fleet, and also they could have destroyed both Death Stars with that technique. I'm sure someone would have thought of it before.
Yeah, I think it's a bit different when you're trying to do it to a planet size.
Yeah.
But you Star Destroyers.
I think my problem with it is because I quite like Last Jedi. I spend the first third of the movie because like fanboys complain about Last Jedi. They have to spend the first third doing like this hard handbrake turn to like forget everything that happened in the last movie. We're going to do this new movie now.
Yeah, that pissed me off even more. And it was like, I didn't like The Last Jedi. In fact,
at least commit to it.
Movie, but just lean into it, right? And done something at least interesting rather than rehash Return of the Jedi again.
Yeah, well, it's just I just found it felt very lazy, and the fact it was the Emperor again, it just really didn't work for me. And
I liked that the Emperor was back, but
I didn't like the face off at the end. It just didn't work. It didn't work for me. Her and him.
I like the Emperor was back, but I think it was done in the wrong way. And also, like the whole
those seeds should have been planted, shouldn't they? Earlier, they should have.
Yeah.
I like that we're getting like the Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. The Mandalorian sort of is making that make more sense that the Emperor was back. I like that it's helping to kind of repair and give you the missing information, so that when you watch it again, it isn't just somebody going, somehow the Emperor is back. You're getting kind of the little bits of information that explain how that possibly could have happened. I like that about that.
Well, I think that's why the whole Return of Luke Skywalker in it, right?
Yeah, maybe.
John Favreau and
Dave Filoni.
They should just give them the keys to Star Wars, shouldn't they?
I mean,
nothing gets out unless it's gone past Dave Filoni and John Favreau. And me, I'll happily join that list as well. Get me to give it the okay. I'll go and live in San Francisco. Where are they?
Yeah,
Marin County, isn't it?
Northern. Yeah. Are they on Skywalker?
Yeah.
I mean, it's really impressive how much of Carrie Fisher they managed to get into it, but it's so clunky and cut and paste. And it's like, I think
you watch it knowing that, don't you? You watch it kind of seeing that.
It would have been a much better movie if the opening scroll at the start had said Princess Leia is dead, and the movie had started with her funeral, and she just died from her injuries from being sucked into the vacuum of space in the last movie. Because then that would be like a really hard punch at the start of the movie, and then they could have had a plot for the next 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say that when it comes to the special effects, they should really stop trying to paste people's younger faces onto other people, because they
Apart
can't.
from that Luke Skywalker bit in
The Luke Skywalker they've got.
I mean, I just like that he was in it with the lightsaber, but then there was a guy on the internet that did it even better, and then Lucasfilm hired him.
Yes, but I mean, in the Rise of Skywalker, there's Luke and Leia sparring, doing their training, and
I think it worked quite well though.
They get the
It's
Luke
just a
face
flashback, I'll
right,
forget
but the thing is, they don't get Carrie Fisher's Leia face right. It
does look a bit odd. I agree with you.
Yeah. So.
Anyway, John, anything else to add on this epic Star Wars episodes that we've done?
If you watch the final scroll, you will be able to see that our socials are at 5onfilm podcast. Email us at 5onfilmpodcast@gmail.com. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We do try. We need to try harder. The more you interact, the more we'll do. We're trying to do other things as well, such as our Christmas special, about the Christmas special. Please make that worth a while. We're also trying to do reviews as well of films that are just coming out. Let us know what you want. If you find us on YouTube, please think about finding us on your podcasts, on Spotify or Apple, or on your podcast scraper of choice. And if you're listening to us on those, feel free to find us on YouTube and watch us in real life. We look pretty. Thank you very much. Over to you, Ollie.
Could I suggest five on film? Ghostbusters.
Review.
Sorry,
it'd be a top 4, wouldn't it?
I think there's an essay in that.
There is. I mean, you could count the real Ghostbusters cartoon series.
It's not had a theatrical release, has it?
No. Okay. I'll get back.
But there we go.
Brilliant. Thank you for joining us for this Star Wars episode of 5 on Film. It's been my favourite one to do because they're my favourite movies. Thank you for watching. Keep watching, keep listening, and talk to us. And we'll see you soon. Move along.
All views expressed in this podcast are that of the individual and do not represent the views of any entity whatsoever which they have been or will be affiliated with in the future.